The AFCFTA is, or the African Continental Free Trade Area, is one of the pillars of the continental integration, going to create one market of 1.4 billion people. And what that means, it creates a strong business case for the private sector. Anybody within the African private sector that wants to have scale, the AFCFTA in that context is going to help the African countries diversify their economies, add value to a lot of the natural resources that the continent has, because by breaking the barriers, both tariff and non-tariff barriers, it makes it possible for regional value chains to emerge, with one country producing raw materials and other countries using those raw materials for intermediate inputs, which go into the production of a final product in another African country.
So one of the main characteristics of African economies and supply chains is the heavy reliance on the global markets. And this is what we have seen during the COVID-19, but also during the first few months of the Russian invasion in Ukraine. This heavy reliance on global markets leave the exporters and consumers in these countries vulnerable to different changes and the impacts of these unexpected shocks and crises. So with more trade within Africa, and we know that some estimates show that the full implementation of this free trade area will increase intra-African trade by 80%, increase exports by 30% to other non-African countries. So all these opportunities that would be created by the Africa Continental Free Trade Area will reduce this reliance on the global markets, will provide more market opportunities for exporters, will ensure more diversified supply of commodities, including food and agricultural commodities during these times of supply chain disruptions.
We have a free trade area agreement that has a specific protocol that deals with the issue of women in trade. So the AFCFTA has a protocol on women and youth in trade. We expect it's going to be concluded before the end of this year. The objective of that protocol is to ensure that the AFCFTA is not only inclusive, but it is gender neutral, and it also empowers women traders, including those that we know today form the majority of those who are conducting most of the trade, both formal and informal, across the African continent.
Well, I do think that free trade will stimulate an increased differentiation between African economies, and there also investments can trigger and assist in that work. I do think that we also as investors can contribute to the success of that agreement by making investments and reducing inequalities through, for example, increasing access to renewable energy or essential products and services such as food, healthcare, and by building sustainable enterprises so that people do get the jobs that they should have in order to support themselves.
Intra-African trade will increase significantly. And that has another advantage, because intra-African trade is already more diversified than Africa's trade with the rest of the world. So if we can stimulate that, that means also that the industry will be more diversified. And a diversified industry is also important for distribution of incomes. Because if you have many small businesses benefiting from trade, that means it's not only big business that will be the beneficiaries. It will also be small business.